Drug addiction is a subject that's very close to home and one that I'm absolutely passionate about. So, on today's show, we begin by meeting a man who today is a community developer who wanted his home of Reiche Park to be viewed as more than just a community riddled with problems. So, with that, let's welcome Brandon Isaacs. Brandon, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And thank you for being so willing to open up, not just about the work that you're doing presently, but the journey that you've had to travel. So your interaction with drugs started in high school, right?
Yes.
So take me back to those days. What led you to using drugs?
Well, for me, I think it was a matter of trying to belong, trying to fit in, trying to be part of the cool crew. And, I always saw myself as a trendsetter.
Yeah.
I always saw myself as one that, first come up with things and the others follow. And for me, it started off, with things like sniffing benzene.
How old were you?
I was probably standard 8, standard 9 at that time.
Yeah.
So early teens.
Yes, 13,
And
14.
Yes. And just hanging out with people and it slowly progressed to other things like smoking dacha. And this was on a regular basis. And so for me it was, being in the moment, being the party guy.
Yeah.
Sharing the spotlight with the cool crew. And for me, that was part of being cool. That was part of, expressing myself and being in the moment.
So at the time, you didn't see any harm. Did you see the risks that you were putting yourself under?
No, none whatsoever.
Life was good.
Yeah,
You
life
were
was good.
seen as cool.
Life was good. In actual fact, to a point where I would, we would find some elder guys in the community that would offer us to sell a few of their products.
Wow.
And that would also then support my habit in a way. So now you part of the cool crew. You're making a little bit money here and there. So, all good.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry.
No, I wanted to because you, as you said, you got roped in with the older guys,
Yes.
and then you started selling.
Yes.
And it's one thing that you also talk about that it's not something you're proud of,
Yes.
but you're responsible for introducing a particular class of drugs
Yes.
into Reiche Park.
Yes.
What was going on there?
Like you said, I'm not proud of this, but some of the drugs that the guys are currently using in the community we introduced,
Yeah.
we specifically focused on what you call party drugs. Because at the time there, there was more of your, what they call mandrakes or things like that. And, it would be associated with people that you don't want to be associated with.
Yes.
But we came in with a different swing of things. So the things we were using, it was good-looking guys. It was good-looking girls. It's parties. It's drinking. It's fun. And you want to be associated with these people. I mean, this is an in crowd.
Yeah.
And the drugs that we introduced in the community at the time were things like acid, LSD. Things like ecstasy, what they call cat, and these were the type of drugs that we started using on a more frequent level in the community.
So now you were smoking dacha, and now you've shifted and you've become a dealer within the community. How is this operation? Give me a sense, because so many communities are riddled with this problem, and it is within, these things are coming from within the community.
Look, there's always an opportunity in the community for a youngster who is eager to make money, especially in that kind of way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a difficult thing for me to align myself with certain people that would feed me these type of things to sell.
Yeah.
And like I said, on the flip side of it, it was also feeding my addiction.
So you started taking. You started using the same drugs.
I started getting high of my own supply.
Yeah, yeah.
and that was to my own detriment. Yes.
What happened?
Well, leading up through my school years, from your benzene and dacha, right up to my matric year, where I actually think I really went off the rails. In my matric year, my mother went through a very ugly divorce,
Mm-hmm.
and I took it extremely difficult. This was my matric year. I was looking forward to this year.
Yeah.
Never failed in school. Um, and this happens in my matric year 99, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a way of acting out, against what was happening in my life, in my parents' life. And unfortunately, I you know indulged myself in addiction, and from there on it just went downward.
So, was it from the pain that was happening inside the home?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say, 90% from the pain.
Yeah.
I also
Was your mother aware at the time?
She was aware at the time. However, I think she also didn't know how to deal with it.
Okay.
Because she was dealing with her own hurt,
pain.
in a sense,
Yeah.
especially in the way it happened.
Yeah.
Especially in the way it happened. And then, she had to take care of my brother and things like that. But I was all of a sudden, tasked with being the man of the house, and I had a huge amount of responsibility all of a sudden. And for me, I would just say, you know what, I did that, I did this, so this is my time now.
Yeah.
I would go for weekends on end and get high.
What was the cost? The cost of all of this? Because it tends to affect relationships, it
Yes.
affects your ability to work,
Yes,
to hold down a job,
Yes.
in fact.
yes.
What would you say was the cost in your life?
Well, one of the prices I paid was I lost my job.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my
Were you
job.
using drugs at work?
Yes, we were using drugs at work. We would get together as a bunch of guys, maybe not working very far from each other, email each other, and lunchtime all go and find a taxi somewhere, give the taxi driver something, and use his taxi to to snuff and doing things like that. So that obviously now the absenteeism affected my ability to do my work, and the lying and all of those type of things, and to a point that I lost my job in actual fact.
A lot of people who decide to kick the habit, there's always this talk of a rock bottom.
Yes,
Do you know what rock bottom is like? Did you ever get there?
I think I did. In actual fact, I think I had a couple of rock bottoms. One, I smashed my vehicle after a probably 4 or 5 day of partying, no eating, just drinking and doing drugs. And one night I was driving home, and my vehicle was parked in front of my grandmother's house. And I jumped in the vehicle, and I was on my way to my sister, and I drove into a 10-ton truck. Up until this day, I don't know if I fell asleep behind the steering wheel or I tripped. I don't know. But that was really like a low point for me. And one Monday morning, I woke up after spending a couple of $1,000 at the dealer's house from the Thursday night. I woke up one Monday morning, being kicked out like a dog,
Yeah.
not even having a rent for a cigarette.
Yeah.
And I sat next to an illegal dumping site.
Yeah.
And the stench and the things, and I sat next to that, and I saw myself as that. And for me,
the heap you were sitting next to.
That was what I became. So yeah, that was definitely also. And then there's the family disgust. When people look at you, it's like they get a bad smell. And it just that disappointment, the mere disappointment in people's faces. Yeah, that was definitely
which can lead you to then isolate yourself.
Definitely.
And be with this problem, with this addiction that is in one way a comfort, something you've come to rely on.
Yes.
And then in another way, it's something that is causing the distraction.
100%.
And at least that's how I've come to understand it from a loved one in my family who has battled for over 20 years, and it's robbed him of an opportunity to raise a son, to be able to be a son, a brother, a contributing member of society for the bulk of his adult life.
Definitely.
There's still so much that we can understand about this problem and how it riddles our communities. So just know that Brandon will be back a little bit later in the show to talk about reimagining his community and how that's helped with assisting other addicts. So after the break, we'll also meet Tepang Mapalla, who spiraled out of control through his drug addiction, and he lost access to his children as a result. We'll be right back.